Okay, as promised, welcome back to Return to Reading, where I'm just going to talk about what I've been reading. And while I do want to make a video about Queen's Gambit, I do want to read that one more time because I feel like I did miss out on a lot. Because I did teach myself how to play chess to better understand the games, but I do want to reread it just because I feel like I missed things. But another another book that I picked up was this one. What You Were Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Oyama. Or Ayama? Ayam? I am not good with pronunciation, I will admit that. But this is a book that I got like a year or two ago, and I started reading it, and this is one of those books where I feel like it finds you when you need it. Because it follows, well, each chapter is a different person's story, but it's all tied to this one community center library. Each each story tells sort of the life and struggle of someone in that moment, where the first one, was it Tomoka? Yeah, Tomoka, the first one. I initially started reading it and put it down because I think for me it was still too close to a job that I had recently been, at least at that point recently, been ghosted out of, as in I was working a retail gig in a clothing store that I felt trapped in for the longest time. And I was ghosted out of the system one day, and that was that. And Tomoka, she works for a clothing store and feels very similarly about being stuck and feeling like she is going to be stuck there until she's like one of her older coworkers. And so I put it down. And last month I got the urge to pick it back up again. I was looking for something to read after finishing Queen's Gambit, and I picked it back up. And I recently, if you haven't been seeing some of my previous videos, have been feeling sort of stuck myself and dealing with a lack of motivation and not knowing how to move forward or knowing what to do. And I started reading it again. And this is where it ties into what I was saying about it feels like something that finds you when you need it most, because each story is about someone feeling stuck in some way in their life and not knowing what to do or how to pursue something they want to pursue, because they either feel like they don't have what they need to pursue it, or they feel like they can't pursue it because they're doing something else at the moment. And each story, just, there was something about each one that resonated to me. And I don't usually annotate books, but if you look carefully, those little indents right there, those are where I've dog-eared the pages, because each of those pages has something that resonated deeply with me and was something that I found I needed to hear in my own life. So like I said, each chapter, it's not a long book. It's only, I think this last one is, because I'm still currently reading it. I figured I'd give myself a break after the previous one because, hang on, what's his name? I had the characters memorized at one point. I forgot what his name was, but there's one who's, it hit very hard. It's just like, oh no. Hiroya. Hiroya. Not an employment, education, or training. And he's an artist. He's an artist who doesn't think his work is good enough. He's dealing with his own imposter syndrome, his own demons. But also, he doesn't have a job. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been in that situation. But his story specifically really hit me hard. And I did find myself kind of pausing the most during that one. Even that, it gave me hope that I can find something, that I can continue to pursue the thing I want to pursue and find something that I enjoy doing that may be adjacent to it or may lead to the potential to pursue what I enjoy further. But these stories, each one, again, I found something that I needed to hear. Like, I think this is from Huria's. They're talking about how the librarian they're speaking to, because in the community center there's this library, the librarian mentioned in the title. Each of them finds themselves in the community center for one reason or another, and each of them is directed in one way or another to the library, where they each encounter this librarian who gives them recommendations. She gives them recommendations of books for what they said they were looking for, but she ends up adding on an extra book that ends up being what they actually needed to hear, or teach them something they needed to truly move forward and pursue what they actually want to pursue. And along with those, she makes these little needle felt items that she hands with them, and each one almost in a sense relates to whatever they are having to learn. But this is talking about the needle felting. And there was just something about this that really clicked. And this is Hiria talking to Miss Komachi, and that's the librarian at the reference table. And he's saying, "Oh, I see. So it's possible to make something other than what you originally set out to do. That's nice." There was just something about that was just like, oh, I initially set out to do this thing, but it is possible to shift directions and turn it into something else. And there are just little things like that I found throughout this book that I needed to hear, or that clicked with my own situation. And the last story in this book is about someone who is in retirement. Yep. Masayo? I don't know how to pronounce the names very well. I apologize. But Masayo, 65, retired. And I just started reading his story. And his is the last one in the book. And keep in mind, that is chapter 5, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 5. Chapter 5. And each one has like a little illustration of each character at the start. It's like, and even just reading the book and just going back to this cover sleeve, like I'm noticing like little things, like the little needle felt items that they end up being handed are just hidden in the cover, and I love it. But the stories are told like it's not a very like fancy writing style. This was translated into English. It even says it on the cover. Translated by Alison Watts. But the stories are very straightforward, and each character definitely has their own voice because they are the ones telling the story. But it's all very real stories, and it's all very real feelings and things you can relate to. And even if you aren't necessarily in the same situation as these characters, you can find things from each one's story that you can still relate to. And once I pretty much started reading, I couldn't put it down. Like I literally just paused for this last one because I needed to give myself space to breathe after Hiria's story. Hiria's story. I almost said story. But it is one of those books that will make you think. Not necessarily in a like dissecting everything kind of thing or like piecing things together, but it makes you think about yourself and your own life. It's unintentionally or possibly intentionally. I don't completely know. But to me it feels almost unintentionally motivational because it's one of those stories where it's like if you are feeling stuck and like you don't know how to pursue something or what to do next, or like you can pursue something. It's a book that gives you hope. It gives you hope and motivation to push forward. And while they are separate stories, there are still like little details in each one that sort of tie them all together. Like in Tomoka's story at the start, where we're introduced to the library at the community center, there's these classes that are mentioned, and there are like people in the classes that you end up either seeing later in a different story or mentioned later in a different story, or you find out, oh, this person was this person from this one story. And it's just little things where it's almost like a butterfly effect, where all of their stories are almost intertwined, but what each character does is still they're doing. They are the ones learning what they need to. They are the ones finding what they need to from these extra books that the librarian was. I'm going to butcher her name, and I hate that I'm going to. Hang on, where was that other one that I read? Ms. Komachi. The extra books that Ms. Komachi suggests. Hey, they are all real books, by the way. I've looked these up. The books she suggests, you can find yourself. Like, I have actually been tempted to get some of them. Being like, okay, if this character can find something in it, I want to see what they saw. I want to see if maybe I can find something for myself in it. It's kind of like going to like an art museum and trying to find yourself or something you resonate with in an artwork. Like, I kind of want to find these books and be like, okay, what can I find from this? I haven't done that yet, but it does make me tempted to. But these extra books that she suggests, some of them feel very initially just like out of left field, but the more the characters read the books, the more it's just like, oh, I see why this is there. I see why this was recommended. But I would definitely suggest giving this book a shot. I would 100% suggest it, especially if you are like me and feeling stuck, or someone who wants to pursue something but doesn't quite know how. But this is one of those books where when you need it, it will find you because it has many things you didn't realize you needed to hear. So all I have to say is what you were looking for is in the library. And if you like this video, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts, any books you might want me to check out. Don't forget to subscribe. You would think I'd be used to these outros by now. And I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that is, because this is very much a creative hub.